Get started. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Laura Morrison. I am the WCA programming chair. I am also the facilitator for the Art Activism Pod and a former WCA president on 2020 to 2022. I am also, personally an activist. For all sorts of different causes over the course of, many years. And that was one of the reasons why I was interested in getting the Art Activism Pod pulled together and helping to work on this exhibition. The two people who helped me the most with this exhibition were Karen Lunar and Sandra Davis. So I'd like to throw it over to Sandra Davis to introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she does for WCA and what kind of art she does as well.
Thanks, Laura. So for most of you, I hope you know that I'm your current national president. I reside here in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is about 20 minutes outside of DC. I've been your president since 2024 and about to close out my tenure, but further discussion later. The type of art that I do some activism work, lots of textiles and collage and found objects. And this particular call for entry was really sort of pulled together very quickly. The power of your connections and your level of commitment with one another. As soon as I was able to see the information and forward it over to Karen, I thought this was a perfect fit. Both Karen and Laura jumped right on it, and I'm so tickled and pleased that we have this up and running. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen Lunar, and I'm the Director of Operations for the Women's Caucus for Art. I have been working for WCA since 2002. And I've been the sole part-time administrator here for almost over 20 years. Yeah. I used to make art, and then I moved to the country, and now I am an active gardener. I have my chickens, and so basically the art for me became a back burner thing. I put something into the show that I pulled out, and so that's basically what I want to talk about.
Yeah. So I want to share a little timeline of how this exhibition came together super quickly. Because I kind of look back and I was a little amazed by how quickly it went together. So on Wednesday, October 15th, Sandra sent me, said Karen and I, the article from the New York Times, which came out the day before, entitled Artists Plan Nationwide Protests Against Authoritarian Forces. Sorry. So we both read the article. It was very interesting. Karen, I have to give her credit for really stepped in and said, hey, we could probably do a show around this pretty quickly with our online platform. And by 10:30 a.m. had already pulled together, the toolkit, showed it to us, created a rough draft of the entry form and a call for email by noon and sent it to us. And I'm like, okay, this looks great. The Fall of Freedom website was very comprehensive, had a wonderful toolkit. I'll kind of show it to you all in a few minutes in case you want to, at some point in time, do your own work for Fall of Freedom. And so because this collective of artists pulled together such a comprehensive website with a really good toolkit, messaging information, all sorts of assets for social media, logos, imagery, etc., it made it very enticing to be able to jump on the bandwagon really quickly. So at that point in time, I kind of raised my hand and said, well, this would be perfect for the Art Activism Pod. They've been looking for something in which they could show their work. Everyone's working on their different projects and going down different avenues, but collectively, through WCA, this would be the perfect opportunity for an exhibit. So Sandra agreed. And so we spent the next week pulling together the prospectus and looking at the platform and trying to figure things out a little bit better, so that we could present it to the board to get approval that following Monday to move forward with the exhibit. And thank you to the WCA board that that approval was given. So then spent the following week just learning the platform and trying to kind of get set up, get the entry form perfected and ready to be sent out along with the prospectus, et cetera, the emails and all that. So what's amusing about this exhibit is we opened the entry and I just have to give the time at 9:07 p.m. on October 27th. And at 9:26, Deborah Hirschfield entered the first piece of work. And let me tell you, everyone, it was a fire hose of entries for the next 2 days. I could not believe how many entries were coming in so quickly. So in 2 days, we got 65 entries. This was on October 27th. So the whole proposal was to be kind of a down and dirty pop-up exhibit. I would just hang the work in the show as it came up. I had naively thought that, oh, we'll just get a few, maybe 15, 20 entries if we're lucky for the first showing on November 1st in the gallery. So I kind of set it up with some archival photos as well. So that would kind of fill in the space. And so that was not to be the case. I had 3 days to hang 65 entries in this first showing of the gallery that opened on November 1st. Over the course of the next week or so, I got another 60 entries. And then thought, well, I'll just send out one final notice to everybody to that the entry closes on the 15th and we'll hang the final show afterwards. And I got another, I don't know, let's do the math, 70 entries. So all in all, we got 200 entries for this show in a very short amount of time. And I think a lot of us here who have done exhibits know that artists usually wait till the very last minute to enter the work. And this was completely the opposite. We had work entered just really in a fire hose of entries in a very short amount of time, which was very rewarding. So went last Wednesday on the 19th. I finished the final hanging of the show. It's hung in 2 galleries because there's so much art. I curated the work thematically. No one gallery is more important than the other. We just couldn't fit it into one big gallery. It would have just been way too long and cumbersome. The downfall of that is the way it goes on our website, gallery 1's at the top and gallery 2's in the bottom. And some people are not scrolling down to see gallery 2, so didn't think their work was entered into the show. It was. Everyone who entered had work put into the show. So we have put a note at the top of the webpage to alert people that there's a second gallery to look at. So anyone who comes to the webpage will see that. And some of the things that really impressed me, and I want to include Sandra and Karen in kind of on this commentary before we do the gallery tour, is, it just really was heartwarming to see how engaged the artists were so quickly. Knowing that everyone had this work ready to go right away so they could enter it super quickly. The kind of everyone has a thirst for having their voices heard. And also, I had said in the prospectus, like, even if it's just a photo of something at a protest, like, I didn't really know how much work people would have been making around the fall of freedom of expression. It was, really powerful to have so many people enter work. And not a lot of people, but quite a few people thought they could enter more than one piece. So it would have been a really big exhibition if everyone had been able to enter more work. So what were your thoughts on it, Sandra and Karen?
Hmm. Yeah, I was just like amazed at the speed of how everybody submitted so fast, and we had then and that we sat together and coming up with themes because then we could have said, oh, this is all about flags, this is about people, I mean, the different thematics, and then that these galleries then were then thematically ordered or entered. So that was kind of really interesting. I mean, from like just putting them on the wall to actually then go strategically about them. That was kind of interesting how you put that out.
Mm.
I think for me, probably the most heartwarming out of all of this is felt like we went back to our roots, meaning the organization was founded on an activism vein, right? And I feel like we've been hungry and just like biting at the bit, like chomping at the bit to get some work out that sort of supports that mission. And so having the platform, not having to charge the fee, we've all been doing work around an activism vein anyway, and we were just so eager to show it. And to have this available with the tenacity and the time spent that Karen and Laura both put in is a testament again to our organization. If you ever felt that we were not an activist organization, hopefully this sort of changes your mind a little bit. And that's not to say those who are not considered activists doesn't mean they don't have a place here, but this just sort of reiterated the fact that we went back to our roots. This is what we're about. We want our work out there. We want our voices heard. And boy, are we yelling. We are yelling and we are screaming based on the type of work that's been submitted. So I was just super excited and enamored by all of it that has come in. So I really appreciate all the work that Laura and Karen has put in. That's what I have to say.
It was a fun project to do. It also, it really ties in with our mission, which is to create community through art education and social activism. And also, as everyone will see at the end of the exhibit, I decided to put back in some of those archival photos that I originally had put up in the beginning to try and fill the gallery. Because it really, I think, ties into the work that we have been doing since the beginning. And I'd also like to point out that, 200 people entering this work, that's a good, like 6 of our membership, which is a huge chunk. After we closed the call, I got a few people asking if they could since it's an online exhibit, can't you just pop me in? And I was just like, oh, it's too hard. I can't. I would have if I could have, but I couldn't. And they understood, of course. So who knows if we had let the call be longer and people maybe had the inclination to make the work, or if they didn't have it right away, who knows where we would have ended up. But it's been really rewarding. And I also want to, so the show opened on the 1st. And we also had our art activism pod that day. So I, talked to everyone who came, and I, asked if I could get any volunteers to help with the social media, because that was like something I can do, but it would have just been easier if I didn't have to do it. And I really want to thank Deb Wright and Elaine Alabrande for helping me out with that. It was really helpful, and it was just nice to have the support, and that work had to be done in a very short amount of time as well. And so I really appreciated how everyone jumped on the bandwagon right away and helped out. So that was really great. So I think we'll move into the gallery tour, and I'm just going to do the gallery tour as it is on the website. I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to go first to the Fall of Freedom website to show everybody. So it will be interesting to me to see if they do continued actions after this month. But for anyone who's interested, They have a really good mission, talk about what's at stake. It's a national call to action. No effort is too big or too small. And they encourage everyone to organize their own event and use the branding for Fall of Freedom. And they had just this great organizer toolkit. So with things to talk about, using the branding, suggestions of things that could be done. So it was a super helpful website. And then they had all these great brand assets that could be used attached to a Google Doc. So you can download any of the social media, brand, and graphic design elements, the toolkit, et cetera, et cetera. So, feel free to do your own action or get together with friends in your community or other organizations that you are connected with. And that's an opportunity. What's nice is being able to jump on something that's already organized instead of organizing something from scratch. So I find that was what made this exhibition so much easier. All right, so I'm gonna close that out and close that out. And so here we are. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, okay. So we put Fall of Freedom, Freedom of Expression exhibit. Be sure to view Gallery 1 and 2. We have the Gallery 1. Where did Gallery 2 go? There, that scared me for a second. There's Gallery 2. All right, so we're going to just start the guided tour here. And perhaps many of you have already looked at this. But so many of the entries that we received had flag imagery. And as you'll see in Gallery 2, also Statue of Liberty imagery. So I decided to start out with flag imagery in Gallery 1. I felt like it was a really powerful testament to how important our country is to us, for us to be using flag imagery in our work. And even though many times the flag is shredded or abstracted or changed, represented in a completely different way, I thought the treatment of each one was sent a really powerful message. And also, even when it's super abstract, how we recognize it as being flag imagery right away. That kind of struck me. The themes of these flags sprinkled throughout the exhibition, they're not all just one theme. So I kind of chose a selection of how the flag had been treated in terms of like abstraction, installation, sculpture, photography. So to give a real feel of the different things that are being done with the flag. And things like Uncle Sam being such a recognizable image, even if there's just a small part of it in it. And then we moved into voting rights for the most part. But again, this piece with the map of the United States and the snake eating its tail, I thought was a good way to start, go from one to the other. Collage of Why I Vote. This piece is about Stacey Abrams as kind of the hero of this artist. And I'm not going to be able to talk about every single piece, but then we move into lost liberties, rights, fascism, kind of strength of protest, kind of how we're feeling. A lot of the work is abstract, and so its message may not be immediately clear. So when you go back to look at these exhibition, I really encourage you to take the time to read all of the artist statements. You can just click on the little eye in the icon. I like to point out that all of the artists' work names and the title is up in the upper right-hand corner. So, pieces that are more abstract have, powerful messages behind them. And this piece was how there's wedges being put between people. And then we kind of move into kind of corruption, capitalism. Oh, but it flips back to to fascism over here. Here we go, corruption, capitalism. What also strikes me is all of the different, we have collage, we have printmaking, we have painting, we have textiles, sculpture, ceramics, just the wide range of media that everybody's working in, tons and tons of mixed media. Over on this wall, we start moving into censorship, silencing of people, the media. There's a little thing called the truth. It's a very tiny tile. I had to kind of scale some things up once in a while. This piece is about social media and its effect on us, book banning, the power of reading. This particular piece is by Leanne Miller, who's a former WCA president. She put the Fall of Freedom logo in the bottom if you take a quick look. Another piece of imagery that popped up quite a bit was the Capitol. And, 3 different treatments of it. Also, the bald eagle. You will spy that all throughout the exhibition. Worked into a lot of collage work. Small piece about banning books. And some pieces, this is capitalism, but also immigration. So I had to make some decisions sometimes, maybe right or wrong to where I could put the piece. Sometimes it meant it looked visually better in another spot. Then we move into a room, which is about guns, gun violence, war. This one's Don't Shoot. I think that's self-explanatory. This piece is by Pearl Hirschfield, who it was submitted by her daughter. Pearl has passed. She was a Chicago member, and her daughter Deborah asked if the piece could be put in the exhibition, which I was happy to do so. Again, an abstract piece all torn up, which is very emotional. Things about war, violence. You kind of see the knife imagery in that, what's real. And some people in their statements wrote paragraphs and others were very brief. Only 1 or 2 did not submit statements, which is fine. This piece is about the First Baptist Church. Really powerful piece. And Another Day, Thoughts and Prayers. And this is a riff off of Andy Warhol's work. You see the gun being tied up. This is Freedom Behind Bars. Then we move into I'm losing my place. Guns, violence, war. Then we move into kind of more protest imagery and the reasons why we should protest. Piece called The Struggle. A lot of collage in this exhibition. This is another piece on capitalism. And then we go back to the first Trump administration with the Women's March, Pussy Hats, a lot of pink. Sandra Davis's piece on protesting, Why We Protest, Still I Rise by Betsy Colt. another pussy hat piece. And why we should march and fight back. Humpty Dumpty's gonna fall one day. Your soul is political. When you own your voice, own your actions. I thought that was really a good message. And then Susan Burko's superheroes. Mixed media piece. Then we kind of move into kind of more what could be protest signs or posters. I believe Remedios, this is a poster that can be downloaded and shared, but not broken, a very graphic piece. I loved this one. And from this, we move into the Wall of Trump. I'm actually surprised there weren't more pieces kind of like this, but we have a good wall of collage with Trump imagery, JFK, the screen. This I thought was interesting. It's such an abstract image, but you could still tell who it is. But this one was amusing. A lot of it is very kind of funny. Since can't cut out the brain worms. Not my president, which was a cry immediately in the first administration. This was a protest poster, so both sides, we showed both sides. The corruption doll. The No Kings Burger King. And hobgoblins. So that is the first gallery. And I'm going to go down to, whoops, I think I'm going to have to reload this page. So that will stop. And we'll move into the second gallery. So with the second gallery, I decided we had flags in the first gallery. I thought the Statue of Liberty imagery really appropriate to start off the second gallery. This one encompasses it all, flags and Statue of Liberty. You know, the imagery is so iconic, Statue of the Liberty, also her being a woman, her the symbol of liberty and freedom, I think is really powerful. And so many of our artists connected to it that way. You know, a lot of, you know, her being tied up here. And like I said, as it was with the flag, a lot of these works speak to other themes, but I wanted to group this room with a variety of media. And this is a protest coat that Deb Deal Blackwell made. Also, this is just the torch, and we already know that's from the Statue of Liberty. So even small pieces of it, like it was the flags being so abstracted, I thought was really interesting. This is a pro-choice piece. Oh, I love this one of it kind of her being in the fog, in the gloom. And again, a flag pops up later on. This is not a flag. And this next room is really kind of covers immigration, migration, ICE, racism, civil rights, kind of people's stories of where their families came from. You know, the beauty of the kind of melting pot of America. This is a piece about immigration. Also, it's addressing civil rights and racism. Reimagining how things should be. It's kind of a review of where their family came from. And ice. And also, acknowledging how this land was taken from the Native Americans. These were really burning candles in this piece. I was kind of fascinated by that photograph. Oh, another flag that really belonged in this room. So again, I really encourage people to look and read all the statements. This is a piece about white fragility. What we're fighting for. And the children. Good Trouble is the name of that piece. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Kids and immigration. More flag imagery. So that's sprinkled through, like I said, throughout the whole entire exhibition. And this, I pledge allegiance, the pink. And then we move into a room. This is about pro-choice, bodily autonomy. And we also have some pieces we had a few pieces about the environment. This was one of them. Not the solution. This is kind of our environmental corner. This is by Diane Burko. She's a Lifetime Achievement Awardee. She was one of the first entries into the exhibition. See the nuclear reactors in the back. And then we're moving more into some bodily autonomy, women's rights. That's about the after, believe that's about the fires. So I did read all of the statements, and that's how I tried to place the work thematically. It was, to be honest, sometimes a little overwhelming. There was a lot to take in and try and remember when I was hanging the show. And then finally, we're kind of moving into the last room this next room is about women's power, women supporting women, women fighting back, taking back our power. Some free, kind of positive imagery, more uplifting sometimes. How women support women. Things about our daily lives, how we cope. And I just love all of the variety. It's one of the things I love about the Women's Caucus for Art, how we work in so many different ways. This one's resilience. Battle Bodice, name of this one. I thought that was, she's an interesting statement for that. Love the boxing. And then you'll see later there's some boxing gloves, which I thought were great. Fry, sear, burn, scald out of the frying pan into the fire, too hot to handle. This is Karen's piece. When a woman whispers her fears to her ancestors. This is a large piece. And one of the nice things is when you go back and look at this work, you can really zoom in on your own to look at the smaller details than what we can see here in this quick overlook. And so as we move into the last room, this is Rising Up Together by Rona Lesser. Women of the World Unite. In her statement, she says exactly what that means. She interprets that. Women of the World Unite. Stand up. And again, with the abstract, just has that beautiful imagery there. Three views of the same sculpture. Then as we move into the last room, I decided some are some kind of more uplifting or kind of, I don't want to say positive messaging, but kind of looking forward to the future, the freedom to be beautiful. I thought this was the unicorn with the rainbow flag, political protesting. Honduras is about a Honduran doll, I believe. We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. And this piece, Support Ukraine, also is about community. And a page from a notebook, from a sketchbook. Anthem. Love the zone. Beauty wins. Milagros for, I can't read the whole title. I'm sorry about that. I only get the first two words, flower power. Stand Up by Sandra Mueller. And then Pieces Working Together, kind of ending the exhibit with this. Really, this is, and then I did the final wall with archival imagery, archival photos from the WCA archives. So Chicago protesting, a protest in New York. Women Are Not Well Hung in the Museum's New York chapter. Vermont WCA. Now, we were founded in 1972. That car's not from 1972. Old Boys Museum, MoMA. This was taken a few years ago during a conference in New York City. We had a poster making workshop. Genius Has No Gender. Great message. WCA for ERA. New Orleans. And that is it. So I'm going to stop my share. And I'm going to open the conversation. First of all, does anyone have any questions? You can raise your hand. Lisa.
I heard yesterday that this is more than the WCA and that it's a nationwide program or event. And so just how would I find out more about this?
So I will put the Fall of Freedom link into the chat, or you can just Google Fall of Freedom. And as I showed, I don't know, maybe you popped in after I showed it. They have a whole beautiful website. It's really a call to action for all artists and creatives across the nation. And so there's a very comprehensive website about things you could do, even if it's just a small action on your own or one you could collectively do with other people. I have a feeling because they did have a good response to this. You can go in and see where all the events have happened throughout the nation. They have a map that I'm hoping they continue the call in maybe a different way, shape, or form that we can keep working on this.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. Deb Hirschfield.
Hi. Laura, I want to thank you for an outstanding job of curating and organizing all of these works. It's just an incredible exhibit. Yeah, and I kind of wish it could just be permanent, a permanent type of thing. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I think we had a little chat right before Karen and Sandra and I, before we got on, saying, we can save the PDF from this exhibition and maybe keep it on our website as a kind of an archival record of the show. And like I said, I'm hoping we can keep it up maybe another month or so. I'm going to go to the board and ask for approval. We don't have another online show coming up next month or right immediately after that. So hopefully it can stay up for a while. It was fun working on this. I have to tell you, it was really inspiring. I have found just on a chapter level, when we've done shows that are not juried, that the work is amazing. There's no reason we have beautiful shows, and so as it's a testament to all of the artists. The work is incredible and powerful and thoughtful, and I think it made for a really great show. Nancy Mills.
Yeah, first off, thank you so much for all your work. I mean, I'm looking at that, and not only am I seeing greatness, I'm seeing thousands of hours.
No, it wasn't that. It couldn't be thousands of hours because it was only 2 weeks.
Yeah, so. Seeing a long time. Couple of things. I wanted to ask you, how did you find this platform and learn it? How did you know that this platform even existed? And also, one of the things that I wanted to say, the art is absolutely beautiful, but one of the greatest things one can participate in is in a show that is well curated. And a lot of time you have great art, but the show isn't very well curated. And a lot of, it's just the way it is. So this is a testament, I believe, to how good curation can enhance art. And I really wish that we had more of that in galleries across the country. That's my personal thing. But I wanted to ask you, how did you find this platform and how did you learn it?
So, well, Karen, I'm going to throw this to you a little bit because we've had this platform available to us for a while. And we've done a couple exhibits on it. But Karen, do you want to kind of give a background of?
Yeah, we were looking for like virtual gallery opportunities. So I just Googled to see what is out there and what is affordable. So this platform is actually like affordable for like a small organization such as we are. But I think you can actually have a free account and so many artworks, and you could actually basically use it for making your own show.
Yeah. In fact, I had a lot of fun with it. So I set up my own account. You can set up a free account where you can hang up to 50 works. It's not published. So then once you decide you want to publish, you got to pay. But it's not terribly expensive for a small amount of work. And it's a lot of fun to you can play around with it a lot before you have to.
What is it called?
Pay the money.
It's called. I put it in the chat. It's called Kunstmatrix.
It's a German.
It's like a German company.
Yeah.
But for the US, I mean, it's a global company, but I think they originated in Germany. I think the headquarters are, and I can put it back in the chat. So
I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I like to say I know just enough to be dangerous. I don't have any fear of kind of diving into platforms to try and goof around with it. So before I raised my hand, though, to do this, I did go in. Karen kind of walked me around it a little bit because she has worked on it some. And it has its quirks that I found for a large exhibition like this, but doing something on a smaller scale, like if you had 50 works or maybe even 75 to 100, I think it's really quite manageable. And now that I know it really well, if anyone wants to play around with it but gets confused, just give me a call and I will get online with you and kind of walk you through some of the tricks I kind of worked out as I was doing this. But I plan to do some stuff on my own. That's why I wanted to learn it. And that's why I raised my hand, because I really wanted to learn how to do an online gallery. And it was kind of fun. So who had their hand raised next? Was it Robin, I think?
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for curating this. This is a breathtakingly beautiful and very thought-provoking exhibit. And you may have already mentioned this, but who is the umbrella organization that started the Fall of Freedom platform for all the different arts organizations to gather and do this work?
So it wasn't really it was a group of artists that just formed together to do this. So it wasn't, and then they created the Fall of Freedom. So, and that's who, we didn't like work with them. They just provided all of the materials and assets to use and just said pretty much like, go do what you want with it. And so we had no we didn't have discussions with them or anything like that. We just took what they had offered and created this work. So I put the Fall of Freedom website in the chat, or you can just Google it; it'll come right up. And you're going to take a look around. It's a really interesting project and call for action. And I also think it's really nice to be part of a greater nationwide action. You don't feel so alone in what you're doing. So just knowing that other people are out there doing the good work and fighting the good fight, I think is really encouraging. So Lucy, you had your hand raised.
What? Lucy?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I am so grateful, and that I put in the chat that there's a slogan that helps direct people to live their best life, and it is find your tribe. And I believe that Laura and Sandra and everyone in this exhibit has helped us together find our tribe and nurture it and grow it. And I am so grateful. I thank you with all my heart.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Remedius, you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. Look, it's me. No, I'm really impressed with this organization or this group of artists out of New York or wherever that came together to put this together, because, I've been trying to work on my Gentle Revolution exhibition idea, that almost exactly what they're doing. I'm like going, oh, they're doing my idea. Great. Because that's what I wanted. The more people that do this kind of stuff, the better we'll all be. But also they seem to be way more intelligent and more tech savvy and more connected than I am. And I'm like going, whoa, if I had a team like that, I wonder what I could do. But anyway, excellent role model. And I want to take time later to look at more their details of what they provided in those PDFs or whatever.
Yeah.
And as I present and continue to want to work with the, Women's Caucus of the Arts about this upcoming My Exhibit ideas, it's great. We all have this excellent example, because now I'm trying to figure out how can I move forward and emulate the same kind of activity. So I've come to the realization that actually I need to build a better team of more people helping. And I am archiving all my work right now in a new program that I saw in a Northern California Women's Caucus of the Arts special with the artwork archives.
Yes.
And there's a person actually coming to my house and helping me get that set up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So once I have that documents all organized into this system, I'll be able to share my story and share things with other people so much easier, and create these kinds of tools that I'm going to need to move forward with my great ideas, so it's a very inspiring moment. It's kind of humbling and inspiring at the same time. And I really hope people will take interest in helping me along as I come along with more of these ideas or whatever. Let's make it happen, whatever. Everybody doing what they can. And I put my...
Did you put your contact information in the chat?
I put the gentlerevolution.com there. I suppose I should put my other regular how to get a hold of me, because I made that during the pandemic specifically so you can download posters, put ideas out there, and it doesn't say who's doing it or anything, how to get a hold of me. It's just there for information distribution. But looking at Fall of Freedom, I've been wanting to take time and make that better with more tools for people to use to move forward. But I can only do so much.
That's right. But it's nice to look to get inspiration from other people who are kind of thinking along the same lines. And so, that again was a great reason to kind of get on the bandwagon with this exhibit because, you know, in the art activism pod, knowing that a lot of the people who come really wanted a way to kind of share their voice right away, not have to build something from scratch. And so, you know, that's why I kind of raised my hand and took up the opportunity. So thank you, Remedios.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Thank you for this whole thing. This is so totally awesome. And it gives me hope and inspiration.
Thank you. All right, Nancy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, is the organization Fall of Freedom or the artists that got together, are they doing a compilation of organizations like ours that have done projects and then are listing them? So,
So
we're fully aware of this project.
Yeah.
Well, among probably hundreds, right? So we, on our part, you had a application that you would send into them talking about what you were doing, what the action was about, where you were located, what organization you were with. So we filled out that and sent it to them, so they know, and they have a map of where everything is happening.
And then they have a link. Then they have a link to the exhibition. Is that how it works?
To be honest, Karen, I haven't looked. I don't know.
I think they are very active on Instagram and Facebook. I think they are listing a lot of actions right from there.
Yeah.
You just have to look.
So go to their website and noodle around a little bit and see what you can find.
Susan, Sue.
So, Lucy, you had your hand raised. Am I missing someone? Or Lisa?
Yeah,
Lisa.
Susan, Sue.
Me? Oh, okay. Hi.
There you are, Susan. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I wasn't sure how you guys did that cute little hand up there, so I just raised my hand. One of the things that
hand long enough, it will discover it.
You saw me.
There we go. Yeah. I didn't have
Okay, one of the things that's so powerful about this is that you think, all right, there's a handful of artists that started this Fall of Freedom. You've got one man sitting at the White House who terrifies us and who could make us feel powerless at one point. But all it takes is one other person to be powerful and start a whole movement against that power. And honestly, I want to burst out crying as I say this. But Laura, when you talked about the origin of WCA and how it started out as a political organization, you know, fighting against the injustice of women being excluded from the art world. And so here we are on high, rapid speed, 200 artists and more, you know, exhibiting the most powerful work. Each piece just breaks my heart. And without a juror, we didn't need a juror. Everybody was able to self-jury themselves, I guess that's a redundant, into this show. And Laura, you are always just so smart and kind and generous. I really thank you for this. And, you know, that we're all included. We are a powerhouse right here. We can fight this. And this show of art really shows us how we can do it. So this is just, I have to say, I've been looking at art exhibits forever. And since I'm 10 years old, I remember going to art, and I'm now 84 to see art. And this is the best contemporary group of art exhibit I've ever seen.
Well,
I can't believe
I don't know about that, Susan, but thank you.
No, I think it's true. I mean, I'm looking at each piece is valuable.
Each piece was very valuable. I will 100% agree with that. And I tried to place each piece so that there was conversations between each piece next to it. And, you know, I did the very best job I could in the short amount of time I had. So it was today, while I was kind of reviewing this again, I was like, you maybe I should have put that piece over in immigration. And, oh, maybe I should have moved that piece over to women power. But here we are. So anyhow, it is what it is. But I just really, all of the work was so amazing and powerful, and oftentimes like so beautiful. I just really, it was a lot of fun to work on it. It really was.
Something I want to add to that, because also a retired graphic designer, always on a deadline. There's something about deadline that makes you just do it. And so that's what happened here. There was just because you couldn't languish, you had to immediately respond. That's why we were like screaming. I mean, that's what this show is. We are screaming. So, Laura, I think that's really, I relate to your deadline.
Nothing like a deadline, ladies. That's what I say. All right. Now, Lisa, you had your hand up for a while.
Yeah. Hi. Two things. First, I think not only is the show visual and meaningful, but it builds community at a time when that's really important. And that's one of the goals of Women's Caucus for Art, in addition to activism and education. But also on a logistics note, Fall of Freedom, if you're posting this show and your participation in this show on any platform on social media, Facebook or Instagram, you tag Fall of Freedom. And they've been adding all of the stories to their websites, to their Facebook page, to their Instagram, to their story. And it demonstrates even a larger community than us 200 artists.
Right.
And so if the community grows across the country and Fall of Freedom realizes this incredible response, my guess is that this is going to continue. Their umbrella sponsorship.
I would think so, because I think the response has been amazing. They must feel very happy and gratified. I would imagine they've put a lot of hard work into building that website and the graphic packages and all that kind of stuff. So it was really well done. And I think their hard work was very rewarded by how many people have done work around their call for action. Virginia.
Hey, first, actually, this picks up on what Lisa was just saying. I did go to the Fall of Freedom website just now. And if you just search on Women's Caucus for Art, you click on it, it comes up, and then you click, there's a direct link to the WCA website in the gallery. So that's working fabulously.
Awesome.
And a couple of other things. I want to give a shout out to Dred Scott, because he was one of the original artists in New York putting it together.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the inspiration for the "This Is Not a Flag" piece, because you might remember Dred Scott, when he was at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, did that piece. Is this a way to display an American flag? But to sort of spread the word about the Caucus show, we were at I'll call it an analog show last night, an opening of a Fall of Freedom show. And we have postcards from when we originally made "This Is Not a Flag." And we were just handing them out to everybody and saying, Google Women's Caucus for Art, Fall of Freedom. So,
Great.
Sometimes the in-person stuff still works very well, even for digital. But again, I want to add my thanks. I mean, it really is a terrific show. So many group shows don't hold together. And yes, there was sort of a focus, but you made it really hold together, room by room by room. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Elaine. Your mic, you're on mute. You can't figure out? I wish I could unmute you. Are you ready? Okay. There you go.
Sorry. My greatest thanks to you for curating this, and my thanks to everyone who participated. I think for me, when I was listening to you talk about how quickly you got entries, I have so much work, protest work, that a lot of places won't show.
Yeah.
And I think it may be like that for a lot of us. So when this opportunity came up, it was like a spigot had just exploded. And I would love to be able to do more activities like this. I mean, I have so much work, and I'm sure everybody else does, because we're all in this. We're all thinking about it. We're stressed about it. When you had the tour of the show, I was really trying to hold back tears, because to see it is all so overwhelming. So if you can possibly get it to, continue after the November 30th, I think. And also if we can just do more, if it can be a launch pad for more things like this.
Action.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Nancy.
Yeah, sorry to hog, but I've been inspired, and I have a marketing and PR background, so it's killing me.
Okay.
But anyway, what I wanted to say is that this is the genesis of so much more. You have an opportunity with this exhibition to show places that you haven't been able to show places before as to what is possible. And I think that's what's so very, very exciting. And I sure hope that you do that, or we as an organization do that, because this is a powerful show to go on the road. And you can visually show people this show by what you've done. That's number one. And number two, I think one of the reasons why you got such an enormous response is because we had the freedom to deal with freedom.
Right.
Very often a show is curated or it's got a theme or what have you. This was something that says, provide your own definition of freedom. And you see what happened. I mean, it's just an enormous response. So I sure hope that you use this as the genesis for a greater situation.
All right. Well, thank you for pointing that out, because to be honest, I'm just like, oh, okay, we can rest a little bit, but we really can't. There's more that has to be done. I would like to point out that there was the option that people who submitted the work could remain anonymous. Absolutely no one took us up on that. Everyone had their name in the exhibition. There were just a small handful of people who didn't want their imagery shared outside of the exhibit, which we of course respected. So no social media, anything like that. But I thought that really was a testament to how brave everybody is to put their work out there in this public space, considering what's happening right now and how scary some things are in a very real sense. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that with everybody, because you had the opportunity to submit your work anonymously and absolutely nobody did. So I thought that was really powerful too. It goes to the bravery of women, right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Annie.
Yeah. It's like I've been thinking after seeing this show, the different pictures should be put on billboards.
Right.
All over Chicago, these would be on billboards.
That would be amazing. There's a billboard in my town where I think They don't have some stupid like car thing.
Yeah.
It's like in the middle of downtown. I actually hate where it is because it's just there shouldn't be a billboard there. I think wouldn't that be great to put art up on that? Big huge collage. Sarah.
No, not this our show, but I mean, first off, billboards take a lot of money.
I know that.
I'm just putting that out there, people. But there is an organization called For Freedoms, FOR Freedoms, not FOUR Freedoms. That their website's not very robust right now, but it looks like they do put up loving, joyous, positive. I mean, not necessarily as protests as ours, messages on billboards. And I've also tried to get my work on billboards through a billboard project, but they never accept my work. So, and then there's also embracing our differences. There are lots of places that actually do this. The problem is the expense and getting access.
Right. I mean, this was, WCA pays for the platform, and it's not a huge expense. And so, having the volunteer work to put into it, it was a really easy way to do an exhibit, and also very quickly. And also, let's just talk about the volume. Like, what gallery do you know where you can hang 200 pieces? I don't. There's maybe one place in all of New Hampshire, other than the Courier Museum, where you could hang 200 works. So just the fact that we could hang a huge amount of work I never expected 200 pieces. I expected, to be honest, maybe 75, which I would have been over the moon about. But the 200, well, and also ended up to be exactly 200, which I just was very satisfied with that. With that very even number. At first I thought it was 201, but I had made a mistake on someone's entry. They never followed through with their entry, so brought it down to 200, and I just was personally satisfied by that. Susan, you got to turn your mic on.
Okay, so I mean, this is a conversation, so I want to respond to a couple of things. One is, it's really expensive for artists to ship work. My work's impossible. I won't even try, and so I don't, unless I can hand carry the piece over to a venue, I do not enter anything where I have to ship work. Also, look at the audience of this. It's much bigger than any gallery space. So that's the one thing COVID sort of did for us is that we have these online shows that never really existed before.
Yeah.
And so anything that's online that WCA does, I enter, unless I said, it's nearby. So anyway, I think that's another reason why you got so many entries. This never would have happened if it had been a, brick and mortar building.
No. And also, it makes it, I like the accessibility for artists who can't or can't afford to ship their work, and and sometimes works are too, like I have a few works, there's absolutely no way I can ship it. I have to hand deliver it. It's too delicate. My only frustration with this platform is that, and maybe this is, sometime into the future, being able to show sculptural work in a satisfying way other than a photograph of the sculpture. You can't really do that. They have some sort of system for showing sculpture, but when I looked at other galleries that had that, it was very weird, pixelated sort of looking work. I just really didn't like it. And I'm I personally wouldn't want my sculpture kind of morphed into that. So I do a lot of sculptural work. I'm going to try and play with it on my own, in my own gallery, to see if I can figure some ways out to maybe represent it better. But given the time and energy we have, we couldn't do that. So maybe in the future, when we have more time to curate a show online and people have sculptural work, I can kind of get with them and we can work something out if I can find a satisfactory solution for being able to show their work, maybe at least at all four sides or something like that. Elaine.
Yeah, sorry. Another thing about online shows is when they first started doing when curators first started doing online shows, they weren't really taken very seriously by, the big art machine. And now they are starting to be taken seriously. And I think that's a really good thing to see. So I think and I'm seeing more and more calls for online galleries, online shows. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, thank you. That's interesting to me that they're becoming more accepted. And I think also, I remember way back in the day, they didn't have like the platform where you could kind of move your way around the gallery. And an online show was just basically a gallery of, a listing of works, and it, to me, that was not very satisfactory and back in the day. And so I find this much more appealing, being able to have the work actually hung in a space that you can kind of walk around and look at. So anything else? No? Okay. So I'd like to make a plug for the Art Activism Pod. We meet the first Saturday of every month, except for December. And I told everyone, because I don't wanna. I don't wanna. And they said, okay. So we'll start, the next one will be, let's see, let me look at January. And I always put a call out to the membership. So the next one will be January 3rd, and we meet at 4:00 Eastern time, and everyone's welcome. And the ground rules are there's no video, there's no taking of notes, like I don't take meeting minutes or anything. We don't take attendance. Everything that's shared in the pod is confidential unless someone specifically says you can share it with people, and we put it in the chat that way. You can save the chat because lots of people put resources into it, or contact information if people want to get in contact with each other. So if it's specifically said in the chat, you can share the information outside of the pod, you can do that. Otherwise, it's confidential to the pod. And the reason why we do this is so people can really talk and explore about things that they're working on very freely without, worrying about all the things that they should be worried about now. So everyone's invited. There is no core group. Anyone can come in at any time. The past few ones have been about 20 to 25 people, but we've had as many 50 people come in, and it's actually a lot of fun. And it's also just nice to be part of a group to support each other in whatever projects you're working on. So I encourage everyone to attend, and a Zoom link will come into your inbox. There's nothing you need to do to sign up. So Sandra, throw it over to you.
So I just wanted to, as we're wrapping up, I see there was a suggestion that we charge a nominal fee. I see some other suggestions that are in here. Regarding the fee, that's something that we will consider down the road. But do look out that if you were a participant, we are pushing out Giving Tuesday in a couple of weeks. So if you feel inclined that you felt that this was a great platform, this is a cost and expense to the organization. We would encourage you to donate or have your friends and family, whoever supports you, keep WCA in mind. And the other thing that I will say, this really did feel like a call to action. And so if you're part of a community, you're part of a chapter, you don't have to wait. You can be that call of action. You can be that catalyst to get something started. We're here to support you in any way that you feel that you need. Not saying that we know how to do everything 100%. As Laura will tell you, this was a learning process for her. But that's what this community is about. We're here to support one another. But don't be afraid to be the one to sort of step out there in the street. What's on your mind? What do you want to do? What do you want to get accomplished? That's what, as an artist, we're constantly experimenting, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you got to get out there. You got to get out there and try. And I really appreciate all the work that everybody has submitted. And again, huge thanks to Laura and Karen. This would not have been able to get done without the two of those ladies.
Thank you, Karen. Because,
Susan.
Handling back and everything. Thank God.
Okay, since you're plugging, since you're doing plugs here, Monday is the Echo Arts Pod meeting.
Yes.
And Jennifer, is she still here? Jennifer, maybe you know more about it, because I've had so many other groups that I've belonged to. I wasn't at the last two. Maybe Jennifer, you can speak up about what's happening with that.
The prospectus for the meeting has gone out in the email along with the Zoom link. So just check your email and you can learn more about it there.
Yeah, just Google Echo Art Caucus and it should pop up. And I think we meet, it's next Monday at 7 Eastern time.
Yeah.
7:30. Okay. So the Echo Art Caucus also, if really the environment is your jam, as is many, it is for many of us, that's a really good place to get involved with as well. All right. Well, we're at 5:27. Oh, Annie, got your hand up? Oh, you got to turn on your mic.
Just really quickly, the postcards. People said, don't send postcards to Congress. It's a waste of time. They won't look at it. And the Peace Corps gave us, it's 52 weeks of peace, postcards. And I just got a letter an email from one of the senators telling me, keep sending the postcards. Our staff, we love your postcards.
Okay. I love it.
And we hope in the new year you keep sending postcards and we like to read your concerns. I was like totally shocked.
That is amazing. I love that.
I mean, all of us artists, in the coming up year for them, I might have to make my own postcards because I'll be done with the ones the Peace Corps.
All right. Well, there you go. You got a project.
Everybody has a project. You all can make postcards and send them to you.
All make postcards. Yeah. So in ending, I just really want to thank everyone who entered work in the show. I'd like to think if you weren't able to enter work, push the show to people, have them come and take a look, tell them there are 2 galleries to scroll down, make sure they look at all of the work. Thank you to Women's Caucus for Art for having the platform that we can do this, and also to the board for, having faith for a very quick show that it would come off. They could have said, nah, this is too much. This is too quick. This isn't going to work. So I appreciate them for having faith that we could pull this off. And as Sandra said, you don't have to wait. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Just jump in with both feet. That's what activism is all about, taking the opportunity when it comes along and, keep fighting that good fight. So thank you, everyone, for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Bye.
Have a really good Thanksgiving and holidays, in whatever way you celebrate. So
thank you.